podcast, where each week we explore the different avenues of the great Disney universe. This week we're only working on half power. We've got Milford.
Hello.
And we've got Jessica out in California.
Hi, everybody.
And I am RJ. This week we're getting around to me yammering on about my trip that happened just about a month ago now from when we're recording. I went down to Walt Disney World with my family and my parents for the spring break that was up here in Connecticut, which was the week before Easter. So we went from a Friday to Friday because we drive down, so we're trying to avoid the Easter traffic on the way back. So no problems there, up and down 95, nothing exciting about that. So I had obviously done fast passes beforehand and kind of let my two older kids who are 10 and 12 take more of the reins as far as what they wanted to do, and I have a 5-year-old as well, so knowing that he's just under 40 inches, so knowing that he was limited as far as roller coasters and things of that nature, the stuff that I knew he would like, I added the fast passes in, being the Fantasyland rides, Nemo, things of that nature that aren't thrill rides for him. But I kind of let the other two kind of dictate what was going on, because been plenty of times, my wife and I have been numerous times without the children, and so it's kind of trying to take the backseat approach and letting it kind of be their trip, since they're getting old enough to kind of know the lay of the land and how the parks are and what they enjoy to do most, especially during that week, because it is a busy week being spring break season. We started off our first day at Magic Kingdom on a Saturday, and we got into the Magic Kingdom by about 9:30 in that morning. I didn't take super duper notes, which we were talking about before we started recording, but we headed towards Pirates. I know that was where we were headed first, and so my little one really didn't, he heard it, he knows kind of what it's about, and he just wasn't having it. So instead of forcing and dealing with craziness, I ducked out with him, and the rest of my family went on that, and he wanted to go on the Magic Carpets of Aladdin, because we walked by that, and he saw it, and that's what he wanted to do. So I took him on that, and it wasn't horrible. It's years ago with my other two kids, I would have been adamant about, like, no, this is what we're doing now, we can go on that later, and probably try to avoid it, because standing in line for a half hour for a 45-second ride was just ridiculous. Now it's just, I have a whole different mindset, I know, which we've talked about on here with those of us who have kids and have gone with kids, and how you do the park with young children. So I've taken a totally different mindset now. Instead of, it's kind of more over quality over quantity, is kind of how I look at it now. It's if we get 3 rides in for the day and that's it, but the kids are having a lot of fun and wandering around and looking at stuff and eating ice cream and popcorn all day long, then so be it, because that's what they're going to remember. They're not going to remember that they hit every attraction, or that they did all the fast passes and then got more fast passes and things of that nature. That's not how they look at it. So I know we worked our way around the Magic Kingdom in clockwise as best as we could. I'm trying to remember the fast passes we did for that day, and I don't remember. I'm pretty sure we had a mine train for later in the evening, and I know we had one of the other mountains, I believe Thunder, for most of us, and I think I did a Buzz Lightyear for the little guy and my parents, while the rest of us went on Space. I think that was the approach that I took. We were at the Magic Kingdom a few different days, so I know we had hit Peter Pan another day. Even though the crowds were busy, it wasn't out of control, and I feel we got a decent amount done each day. We didn't book a lot of dining because my kids eat like birds, and it's not fun for them to sit and have 3-course meals every day of the trip. It's just not their thing, which is fine. I can understand it. Saves us a little bit of money in the end too. I'm fine with most of the quick serve stuff. I can deal with that. Or like I say, we're on vacation, so there was lots of popcorn and lots of Mickey bars and Mickey ice cream sandwiches and whatever. It's,
Do you guys do a dining plan?
We have never done it with the kids. My wife and I had done it years and years ago when it was, whatever, $35 for the day. Now, I know we did talk about that on an earlier episode. Yeah, it's just, it's a lot of food, and I think we would end up probably wasting, because a lot of the meals, what we would do is we would get stuff that either all three of the kids could share, or at least two out of the three would share some part of the meal. So it was kind of easier that way, because they really don't eat that much sometimes. They're just too worried about getting on to the next thing, or like I said, filling themselves up with fun food. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Which I can't argue with. Because then it just means I get to have one too. So it's a win for me as well.
It's a food group, right?
It's a win for me as well. That's right. A food group. A beer and a Mickey ice cream bar is definitely a food group. So we spent the whole day, that whole first day in Magic Kingdom. We didn't stay for Wishes that night, because I knew we were going to be back another night for nighttime stuff. Plus, we were tired from driving the night before and stuff like that. So I think we headed back relatively early just to get a good start on the next day, and knowing that we'd be back at Magic Kingdom multiple times. So we headed out of there probably after dinner time, or maybe close to dusk. Got back, got all our stuff settled in and all that rigmarole. And we were staying at the boardwalk, so there's tons of stuff to do there. There's the magician shows and the juggler and the Streetmosphere entertainment out on the boardwalk, which my older son ended up watching quite a few nights. And they have like a little green area of grass where kids run around, and ultimately groups of kids end up playing together, that don't know each other, which I think is great. I know my son ended up throwing a football around a couple nights with some kids, so that's always fun. They have margarita shacks out there and beer, and a little fried food stand that is literally everything fried. They have like fried macaroni and cheese bites and hot dogs, hamburgers, and buffalo wings, and all sorts of other stuff. So, and then you got the ice cream place, which my wife and son waited in line and got one night. Ample Hills Creamery, I believe is what it's called. So that seemed like it was pretty good. So there was tons of stuff to do there. So next day was Sunday, and we hit MGM. So being at Boardwalk, we could just walk over. I believe I did a Toy Story Mania Fast Pass for everybody, which I did not get to go on because I forgot what happened that morning. I ended up being late and either staying back with the little guy just because he was sleeping or whatever the deal was, but I ended up missing the Fast Pass. And then I think I had gotten one later for my son and I for Rock and Roller Coaster. None of them have shown interest in doing the tower yet, which is fine because I really can't go on that anymore without it ruining me. So avoided that one. And we kind of pretty much, we did that park in about half a day. We had Fast Passes for Star Tours in the afternoon, but I ended up canceling them, and we ended up going standby, or I tried to move them up because then the kids really wanted to go in the pool, and I knew our plan was for that day we were splitting it since it was the studios and there really isn't anything to do full day. We wanted to see the Star Wars fireworks, so we were gonna do everything we needed to do in the morning and get out of there after lunchtime and go back so the kids can do the pool and hang out at the resort, and then we were going to head back after somewhat of a dinner and maybe do a few more things in the park and then just get set up for the Star Wars fireworks. I don't remember exactly what time, whatever it was. We went back in the afternoon, hung out at the pool for a couple hours, kids did what they had to do, and it was a cooler day, so it wasn't exactly optimal pool weather, because when you got out and that wind blew, it was kind of chilly, but the kids really didn't care. So we did that, and then headed back over for the fireworks, and kind of staged out a spot for that. And then I think my wife and them, they did Star Tours. That's what I did. I switched to Fast Pass for later on, for maybe 6 o'clock or something like that. I got something for those who wanted to do that ride. So then my wife and the older two went and did Star Tours. Well, we got our spot for the fireworks. So the little guy ended up not making it through the fireworks. So my wife and I had seen it before. So she ended up walking back with the little guy. And the rest of us stayed and watched it. My parents hadn't seen it before, and neither my other kids. So we stayed and watched it. And
where was your spot?
We were just to the left of the Chinese theater, kind of back, right along where they had a walkway, kind of right in front of where Min and Bill's is, the dinosaur-shaped quick eatery place.
Uh-huh.
You weren't front and center, but you could still see you could see everything. Really, there was nothing in our way, so it was good. We're standing next to another couple who had small children as well, and his kids stood on their strollers and watched, and it was no big deal because there was nobody in front of us because the walkway was right in front of us.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
so it was really
nice.
actually, and there was if you wanted to, you could have leaned on the fence or on the planter behind us. So it was really, really good. I forgot how awesome that show is. It's so well done. It really, really is well done. So, and the kids loved it. It was great. So, and then, the nice thing about staying at the boardwalk is you don't have to wait for anything. You just walk out and you walk back. I mean, it's a little bit more of a walk than from Epcot to there, but it's not terrible. It's not really terrible at all. It doesn't bother me at all. So that's a nice part about staying at that resort. Or the Yacht and Beach Club is you're in the same situation. They're all connected by walking paths there. I think my parents ended up taking one of the friendship boats back because they were shot, and my mother was in a wheelchair this trip because she had just had some foot surgery done that was taking its sweet old time healing, so she was in a walking boot. She could walk fine, but it would have not helped her healing process, so we had a stroller and a wheelchair, which was fun. Plenty of things to hang bags on is what they were good for. So that was the second day. So then the next day we went back to Magic Kingdom. We didn't really hit any early mornings. Magic Kingdom was open at 7 all week because of spring break, but it's not worth it with the kids trying to get them up at 6 in the morning to get on a bus to get in there at 7 o'clock in the morning. There's nothing that we needed to run and do that early in the morning. I mean, we took advantage of the fast passes for the major things we wanted to do, and the other stuff we wanted to do, we waited, Some of the lines for the popular things were long, but I'd say for the stuff we wanted to go on, we never waited more than maybe a half hour, 40 minutes. Earlier in the day. As the afternoon wore on, stuff got, an hour and better for all the mountains, and Peter Pan, obviously, Jungle Cruise was up always near around an hour, but we did what we could do without everybody having mental breakdowns, and we just, wandered and just took it all in. So, and I'll have to say, I know this was our first time going with the new security setup at the Magic Kingdom, which I thought was fantastic how they had it set up. It was so if you were coming in on a bus or the ferry, they had, now people have been to the Magic Kingdom prior to this, you know how it was set up. You walked in through the center, like where the monorail came in, and the ferry boat was letting off, and the buses, everybody came into one area, and then you split right or left, and there was maybe 6 security tables with a person on taking care of each side. So maybe there was 12 lanes, but it's only 6 security guards. So now what they did is, I didn't count, but if I had to guess, there was at least 12 security tables that for bus people getting off the bus and the ferry only. So you came in, and right kind of where those bricks that you used to be able to buy, where all the gray ones are, before you even got under the monorail, that's where they had the new security set up. So much further back than the turnstiles. So it left that area not to be crazy congested, which was awesome. Monorail guests, before they get on the monorail at whichever hotel, be it the Polynesian, the Grand Floridian, or the Contemporary, they get screened before they even get on the monorail. So when they get off at the Magic Kingdom, they go walk down the ramp and right into the turnstiles like it used to be many, many years ago. So you don't have that big funnel congestion in the middle, which was awesome. I tell you, I had no problems. And like I said before, we went through with a stroller and a wheelchair every day. I think it was a brilliant move on their part, and I think it's just great. It just opens everything up, and then the turnstiles are the turnstiles. They still have their issues there with Magic Bands not working and cast members having to raise their hand and having a manager come over and so on and so forth. So that is what it is. I think most of that is just for crowd control, so everybody's not bum rushing the gates and entering 15 at a time through each lane. So it is what it is.
Yeah, from what I've seen on social media, it seems like that's kind of a unanimous thumbs up for the new security setup.
Yeah, I mean, the only downside I can see to it is at the resorts, because like the Polynesian, the Polynesian and actually all three of them, the monorail platforms are not huge. They're not made for the same amount of people that are coming in and out of the Magic Kingdom all at one time. So yeah. I have to say, and if you get a security guard who is one of those guys who is thorough, looking through every single thing for whatever reasons, like I get it, they got to do their job, but some guys and there's just one guy when we were leaving the Polynesian the day we visited there, I mean, he literally looked through every single, and not in a quick manner, took his sweet old time. And it was very annoying, because you're holding up the whole line. So that's the only time I can see that people might get aggravated. So like in the morning, if all resort guests are trying to get there for early openings, and you got one lane and only 2 security guards, and you got 100 people trying to get on a monorail early, that's the only time I can see it kind of getting maybe annoying, or maybe getting a little aggravated because it's taking too long. But then again, I don't know. I haven't been in that situation. But like I said, we just happened to get a guy who just happened to be a guy. I don't.
I've been there. I know the feeling.
But like I said, I don't mind the security. I'm not trying to knock it, saying that I don't want them to not search my bags. And I'm not the easy person either. I had a pocket knife with me. I have a chain on my wallet, so I had the routine. I mean, you got to take your phone out of your pocket, your keys, and anything metal. So, when I'm waiting back in line, pushing the stroller, or if my wife had the stroller, you can help it along too. And even I told my kids, they both carried backpacks the whole trip. I said, before you get up there, off your back, unzip all the things, plop it on the table. This way, it's done. It's ready to go. It's amazing the amount of people who just can't figure that out, who just come through there and they're just so like scatterbrained and just like disorganized. It's amazing. So, stroller, he looks under the stroller. I have all my pockets open. My knife, my phone, and my wallet with the chain is all in my hand. I throw it in the little dish like they do at the airport, through the thing, boom, 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 and you're good. I had no issues at all in that respect. So, you can help them along too by being prepared, people that are walking up in line. So that was a good day. I think we did, that was the Monday. So we spent most of the morning in the Magic Kingdom. I think I did Fast Passes. I think we did Peter Pan and Jungle Cruise that day, and probably one of the mountains again. I'm not sure which one. The only one we didn't hit this trip was Splash, which is one of my favorites, but it just didn't work in. Everybody didn't want to do it. I didn't get a Fast Pass for it, and didn't feel like waiting. So we didn't. That was the only mountain we didn't end up doing. I will have to say, my little guy loved the mine train. He loved it, which is great, which was awesome for us. We were really glad he did, and I was sad that we couldn't get it on it again. I had said it multiple times he wanted to ride the 7D mine train again, so I know he's definitely been looking, and he's been asking almost twice a week since then, when can we go back to Disney World so I can ride the mine train, which is just, brings tears to my eyes, and I'm like, oh, good, I'm turning another one.
Give him a YouTube ride-through video and have him tide him over.
I should put a link to it on his tablet or something. Yeah, it's just amazing because at that age, because it's when they just kind of figure stuff out and when they're really taking stuff in. And he didn't remember anything from the last time he was there, which was I think 2 years before this, or 2.5 years, which I didn't expect him to. But you never know with kids sometimes what they visually remember, being something as like Small World, which has so much stuff going on, a slow-moving ride that you can take everything in. It's not like, Peter Pan is a classic ride, and it's rememberable, but it's quick. So you really don't have time to look and take it all in. But, I mean, he loved everything. There was things he fought us on he didn't want to do, but then once he would get on there and do it, he did riding Pirates another time. Because we're like, no, you'll like it, it's fine, it's not a big deal, And once he got it out of his system for a few minutes of whining and complaining, he never went to full temper tantrum. And then he was good. He got on the ride, he liked it, sat on my lap or my wife's lap, and, held his hand to reassure him that everything was okay, and then he was good. Went through Haunted Mansion, I held him in the stretching room and just talked him through it, and, without annoying other guests, he didn't explode into tears, and once we got on the ride, he was cool, asking questions, and so,
Great
man. Well, gotta get him used to it somehow. Wasn't gonna not do things because he didn't want to do it. We did that with my oldest when he was that age because he was just not well behaved that trip. But so that Monday night we had reservations for the Hoop-Dee-Doo review, which I love, and I know I've said it on here many a times. So my father had booked for the early show, which is a 6 o'clock, I believe. So we headed over to Fort Wilderness on the ferry and checked in, hung around there for a little bit, and went in and sat for the show. Now, I don't remember what the pricing is for the tiers, but it's a tiered setup for how your seating is and obviously like price range. So I know all the dinner shows on property follow this same format. The luau at the Polynesian and the backyard barbecue, which is also at Fort Wilderness. But I have to say, this one I think by far is the best. You 100% get your money's worth. Besides the fact that it's all you can eat, and then alcohol is included, so it's red or white wine. They have sangria that they now put in the mix, and beer. And the beer choices were Yingling or Bud Light. And it's all you can eat and drink. I mean, they keep bringing it to you. But the first round of food is more than enough food for most normal people. But if you just want more cornbread, they'll give you more cornbread. So my father got a tier 1 reservation. We were one set of tables away from the stage, pretty much center. We were to the left of stage center. We were a party of 7, so bigger table. I tell you, the last time we went all together as a family with my parents, which was 2 years ago, we went to the show as well. So my kids were all 2 years younger. The little guy, he was only close to 3 at the time, and he sat and watched the whole thing and loved it. And I'd taken some video clips with my phone at the time, and he watched those things for months afterwards. And he called the show The Funny People because it's hysterical. So I think it's one of the longest running shows on Disney property. I'm not going to go into the whole history on it. If you do want to know the history of the show, it's a really cool history, how it started and how it's come to be. And I will just refer you to go to the WDW Radio podcast, which is Lou Mangello's podcast, and look up the episode where he did a whole episode on the Hoop-Dee-Doo review and how it came about and how it is what it is today. The long and the short of it is there was a nature presentation they used to do there. Not in the current Pioneer Hall where it was. I think it's there was an outdoor area that was just like a covered stage and then seats. And it was a guy going up there just speaking about animals and wildlife, and from what I heard, the most boring thing in the world, and it didn't last very long. So there was a group of college kids that they got in there just as a temporary thing to fill the void till they knew what they wanted to do, and it was a different version of the Hoop-Dee-Doo review, as he'll explain on the show. There were some copyright things with the original song, but the skit to this day I think pretty much remains the same. And it was such a hit that it's pretty much been going strong as it was from the mid-'70s until now. And they built the permanent Pioneer Hall structure, I think, and closed it in and made it a dinner show and so on and so forth. But I recommend it to anybody who enjoys these dinner shows because it's goofy and it's campy, no doubt. It's pure Disney comedy, but I tell you what, these actors that they have, performers, not even actors, these performers that they have are phenomenal. I mean, they do 2 shows a night, and there is a rotating cast. It's not the same people that do it all the time. I think there's maybe 2 of each character to 6 characters in the show. And I tell you, I've seen, so between the last time we saw it and this time, there was, I think, 3 out of the 6 were the same. So we had some different ones. It really doesn't matter who's playing the part. They all do an awesome job. And you can tell they love it, because it seems like, besides the lines that they memorize and they do it, sometimes it seems like each one may put their own spin on some of it, and there may be some ad-libbing. And you can always tell when they catch each other off, because it's nice. And that's the stuff that I love to see, because then they'll, one of them will lose it for a second and they'll have to like compose themselves. You can, they'll either put the women will put like their dress over their face or something like that, or one of the guys will turn around pretending he's coughing or something. But, they're trying to, something that one of the other guys said that's not in the skit or in the script, sets them off. So it just makes for every show to be unique. I mean, once you've seen it once, you know what the show is. You know what it's all about. So the other great part of any Disney show is, most of them do, there's audience participation. And this one, it doesn't disappoint. So when you first get there, there's cornbread on the table and butter, and you can help yourself to that. And then the performers come out and they introduce themselves, and they kind of just get everybody going and clapping. They introduce the 2 fellas who play for the band. It's one fella playing banjo, another fella playing piano, and there's some percussion instruments thrown in as well. And they do the music for the whole entire show, and those guys are fantastic as well. All 6 walk out in the audience, and they pick certain tables, and they ask where people are from, and they make up a little funny to try to rhyme something with the state or the city that the people give. So that's always funny to hear what they come up with. And then they'll go around and ask if there's either any birthdays or anniversaries. And then they'll go around and they'll make the person stand up, and the person will say their name and how old they are. So my daughter's birthday was April 6th, which was the day before we left, or 2 days before we left. So close enough for us. She wore her birthday button the whole trip. She had it on that night. So she stood up and said her name, and she was 10 years old. So happy birthday and everything else. So then my father stands up after that and says that they're having an anniversary. Now, my parents' anniversary is in May, beginning of May. So he was 3 weeks off, but I guess he wanted to be part of the show. So whatever. So they're 43 years married, so that's, high numbers always get a lot of applause. So everybody was, excited about that. There was another couple, I think, that was spending their 50th anniversary down there, so that gets a lot of applause. So that was all well and good. So then they go on, they do some skits up on stage, and then the dinner comes out, they let you eat, and then the main part of the show starts. So during the main part of the show, there's a skit where 2 of the actors, Dolly Drew and Six Spitz Slocum, they kind of split the room in half as usual, whose side is louder, and they do little skits back and forth. Well, my father got picked to be part of Dolly Drew's end of the skit. So she came out and she's picking on him, flirting with him, and doing that kind of thing, rubbing his hair, the spotlight's on him, and I forgot exactly what she made him do, but he had to say a couple lines and make like a toot toot sound, like from a choo choo train, and it's just hysterical. It's just hysterical. I was in tears. My stomach was hurting. I was laughing so hard, and he was too. I mean, he was loving every minute of it too, and so he just became her target for the night. Anytime something else later in the show, she would refer to my father's name as Ron, and she'd say, "Oh, but my man Ron is over there," and the spotlight would go on him, and he'd wave and whatever. But then, for the final number of the show, they do a little skit where they pull 4 people out of the audience. So it's usually an elder gentleman, a middle-aged guy who's got like a decent physique, a young woman, and then a little boy. So I'm not going to give away what they do with them, because you really need to go see the show to find out. But they become part of the show, and they each have a little skit in this final scene, and it's really good, and it's really, really well done, especially if you get audience members who are really into it and play their little part, and they give them little stuff to dress up as, and I think they take a picture with them at the end, and and things like that. So to me, it's totally worth the money. It's totally worth the money. Even if you don't spend whatever it is for the tier 1 to sit in front, there's really not a bad seat in the house. There's an upper balcony where they have a bunch of tables too, and the room is quite large. So for all you can eat food, alcohol included, which never happens anywhere in Disney World, it is, out of the 3 dinner shows, it is by far the best one. I can't recommend it enough. It's probably going to be something that we do as a family every trip, because I enjoy it so much. I really, really do. My wife thinks I'm insane most of the time because I'm just laughing so loud and so hard the whole time, because it's just that kind of slapstick comedy just really gets me. So I don't know, Jessica, do they have any dinner shows out in Disneyland? I know they don't have anything in the resorts, but is there anything in the park that they do similar to that out there?
I was trying to think. They have something at the Golden Horseshoe called a Golden Horseshoe Review, but it's definitely not on the level that you're describing. It's more just live music while you're eating and a little bit of joking.
Right.
But other than that, there's really nothing. There are dining packages for shows, but
right.
That's the only live while you're eating that I can think of. Aside from, like in New Orleans Square, there's a band that plays, or in Paradise Pier, there'll be bands that play while you eat, but the closest to a show would be the Golden Horseshoe. Gotcha.
Yeah, because then the Magic Kingdom here used to have the Diamond Horseshoe Review, which was similar. It was a little more adult. I mean, not, it wasn't as slapsticky, but they had like the girls came out like the can dancers with the fancy dresses, and they did that whole routine and things. And I remember,
like the same thing.
Mm-hmm. I think it's almost the same show, and they don't do it.
That's not there anymore in the Magic Kingdom.
It hasn't been there in a long time, and I really don't know why. Because that I remember seeing, and my father really enjoyed that show because I remember going a few times when we were younger to that, and then it became kind of seasonal. Then they changed it to something else. I think now the only time they open the doors to that place is during either the Halloween party or the Christmas party, because they do like dance parties in there. So
that's too bad.
It is. I really don't know the reasoning. Probably because people just didn't want to pay for it anymore, or it just became unpopular. But I mean, the Hoop-de-Doo sells out every show.
Yeah,
it's a full house.
Yeah, the Golden Horseshoe is free. People just kind of go in and out, but the Diamond one wasn't. Is that what you're saying?
I don't think so. I think it was a reservation type, or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was first come first serve. I honestly don't remember. I'd have to ask my father. I'm sure maybe one of our listeners will, when this airs, will tweet it out to us or something. I mean, I can certainly look it up after, but
I think it was first come first serve, because I think they only served ice cream and sandwiches in there. I don't think it wasn't a big sit down, at least from what I remember back to '98. Now before that, it might have been something more than that, but
yeah, maybe I'm thinking it was just because I was younger and it seemed like I was in there for longer. But you may be right, Milford. It may have just been something like that. I don't know that it was ever a full dinner show, but I'd have to get confirmation on that for sure. That by far was probably one of the highlights of the trip, just because I enjoy it so much. But so that was a lot of fun. And then, so after that, kids ran around on the playground for probably about a half hour after that. That's right near the boat dock at the Fort Wilderness thing, just to get some energy out. And then we headed back over to Magic Kingdom just to do a few more things, and then get our spot to see Wishes for what would have been my family's final time, being that it's done this week. This week that we're recording, not this week that you people will be hearing it. It'll be already have been done by the time this episode airs, but May 11th is the last day for Wishes. So that was bittersweet, I guess. We stood on the bridge that connects from the hub to Tomorrowland, which is where we always used to stand when we first started watching Wishes when I was growing up. So that was kind of cool, kind of like finished where we started type deal. And I don't think it was done intentional, just we happened to be in Tomorrowland coming from People Mover or whatever we were doing in that area. Barnstormer, I think we had done a couple times, which the little guy loved, which everybody loves the Barnstormer. I mean, it's just a funny little 30-second ride. So it just kind of happened to be we were walking into the hub and we're like, hey, you know what? We had missed a projection show, which was fine, and there was no parade to wait for. So we're like, let's just, park it here just like old times. So it was kind of nice. a lot of memories, and it's sad to see it go, but I'm excited for what's coming next. Lucky be able to get to see that probably in September when we go, even though I don't think anybody's going to the Magic Kingdom, but maybe we can sneak there the last night or something, Milford.
Does none of our travels during that take us to the Magic Kingdom? I guess.
I don't believe so.
Oh, I guess we're watching the fireworks maybe from the top of the world.
Yes.
I think we talked about that, but
I think that's trying to be the plan.
I think we're mostly in Hollywood Studios and Epcot.
Yes, which is fine. Yeah, so that rounded out that day, which was a great day. Yeah, so wishes ended and we moseyed our way out. The next day was the day I was looking forward to, which was Epcot Day. Oh, wait a minute. All right, well, I missed something, so I'm not going to harp at it. But the day we went to MGM, we did go back for the pool, but then also in between, we walked over to Epcot. And that's what we did. We went back to the pool for a little bit, and then we walked over to Epcot, because I was like, staying at the boardwalk, you're going in through the back entrance. So I can't say how secure. I don't think they changed the security at the front entrance of Epcot. I really don't know. We didn't go through that way. Also, I didn't get a chance. We used the AP annual pass holder line, which they did at the International Gateway. There's only 2 entrances anyway. Lanes to get in, but they did have an AP entrance off to the side, so we did use that. That's always nice. Nobody was in line for that one there. The Magic Kingdom, we used it one day because it was shorter than the rest of the lines, and then the other day, the line was actually longer than the rest of the lines, so I didn't bother with it there. So yeah, we hit Epcot that second day. I just wanted to get like a lay of the land for some of the food booths, and I know the little guy, I had explained to him that there was playgrounds and such for him to run around on, which he was all about, and a butterfly house and things of that nature. So we did that for a couple hours, and then we took the Friendship boat from the studios to Epcot. From Epcot over to the studios to watch the Star Wars fireworks, which honestly, that's the first time I'd ever taken that boat from park to park. Just not something we usually did. It was just a walk. So that was kind of cool, just because it was a mode of transportation I hadn't done. Epcot Day was awesome. My wife and my son went over there early. My daughter had kind of started not to feel good, so some of the mornings just kind of hung back with her and the little guy just until she felt better to get up and get going between allergies, and then she was just coming down with we were all sick before the trip with flu and everything else, the whole rest of my house. So unfortunately for her, she started getting it towards the tail end of the trip. So until like the medication kicked in and she was, not all foggy headed, we kind of hung back at the room. So we had missed our test track fast passes I had set for that morning. Oh no, we didn't set fast passes. I'm sorry, because Epcot, since it's tiered, because otherwise nobody would go on anything except the big 3. I had to pick Frozen because the kids had not seen it. My wife and I had been on it in September, but the kids or my parents had not been on Frozen yet, so that was the one I had to get first. But it wasn't until like 5:30 or 6 o'clock at night. My wife and my son went there early, and they rode Test Track. I think they did it 2 or 3 times. They went on first together, and then I think my son went, and then they went in the single rider line the second time around, and then I think my son went back in by himself for a 3rd time in the single rider line, which is good on him being brave. I mean, he's 12. Good. I'm glad they let him go. So he had fun. That was great. He got that out of his system, and that's fantastic. And so we had went. By the time I got there with my son and daughter, we met everybody in the land, and it wasn't too bad. So we went and waited in line for Soarin', which was only about a half hour, but I don't think it even took that long. So the 3 of us went on. My son, we tried to get him on. The little guy, he was like, you could have slid a piece of paper, if even, between the top of his head and the thing, and the lady just wouldn't let him go. So I was like, So my wife stayed off with him on that one. We did the rider swap. She took him on the Living with the Land, and then they went and watched the Lion King movie just to kill some more time. So then I got out with the other 2. She took them in, or just my son wanted to go back. My daughter didn't, because she wasn't feeling great. So then I took the 2 of them, and we went on the Living with the Land, which I still love that attraction. I really, really do. It's just a good attraction, even though it's all automated with the narration instead of, it used to be, a cast member on the boat, speaking to you about it. But I still do enjoy
Oh,
that.
really?
Yeah, when that first opened, up until about the mid-90s, there was a cast member that would... they slowly phased it out. There was a cast member that used to do the whole narration from the beginning, when you first got in, through all the scenery and the little movie slides and stuff, and then obviously in the greenhouse. Then they phased it out to where it was just a narration in the beginning part of the ride, and when you got to the greenhouse, then the cast member would start speaking, and then eventually they got rid of the cast member altogether.
Yeah, right after the Millennium Celebration, they got rid of the cast member completely.
That's right. Yeah. So.
Okay. Yeah, I really liked that ride too. I went on it a bunch of times. I thought it was very cool.
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's very simplistic. There's nothing crazy about it. It's just, I just enjoy it. It's just really, really good. It's one of the last untouched, other than the narration, original Epcot attractions. So maybe that's why I have such a big love for it. But we did that, and I think we grabbed something to eat in Sunshine Seasons. I know we did Nemo, which we were deceived by the line and ended up being in there for over an hour waiting for that, which something had to have gone terribly wrong with the attraction, because Disney's posted time was like 35 minutes or something like that, which I'm fine. Like I've said on here before, I'm fine with waiting that long. My two youngest wanted to do it. My oldest could have cared less. We were like, we're all going in together. It's air conditioning inside. Let's go. But something had to have gone wrong, because it ended up being over an hour, and even the user interface apps that I use, which is mainly the Touring Plans app, which is usually spot on because people are live timing their wait times and then submitting them to the app, and that's how it averages out. I use it a ton of times when I'm there. I usually time time I'm waiting standby. I always time it and submit it, and it's fun, and it's always more accurate than Disney's times, because Disney will bump up the times on the more popular attractions by 15 or 20 minutes sometimes, just to get people to go to other areas of the park, which makes sense. But, for people who look at that stuff and are like, holy moly, this is, why is this all of a sudden so, the park just opens and sometimes the ride's already 35 minutes, and like, that's ridiculous. And you walk on it and you're only walking in for 5 minutes. You're like, I don't understand that. So that's what I think their reasoning is. Nothing's ever been confirmed, but that's how I view it. So anyway, Nemo was a big giant chunk of time that just took way, way too long for that attraction. And then hung around in Seabase Alpha for a while, and they like looking at all the different fish and the sea turtles and climbing in and out of Bruce and things like that. That was about it for that side. I think we went up and did like Spaceship Earth and walked around through Interventions. I think we had lunch and just watched the fountain for a while. And it's the first trip in a long time I didn't get to see my Jameters, which I was bummed about, but it just didn't work out when we were over there. I love those guys, being a drummer myself, but whatever. I have so many videos of them, I can look at it at any time. Then we headed over towards World Showcase. Most people say it's not fun for kids, but it all depends on how you view it. So what Disney has done, which is genius for all these festivals now, they do... definitely in the springtime, because it's in conjunction with Easter and spring and everything else, they do what's called the Easter egg hunt. So in each country, there's 12 eggs that they hide, that are painted character eggs that they hide in all the pavilions and also in the little outpost. So there's 12. And you buy a map for $5 from either one of those two shops at the entrance to World Showcase in the promenade there, or from the shop where the International Gateway comes in. So in the premises, you get this map, you get a little page of stickers with all the character eggs on it, and you walk through World Showcase, you find the eggs, you put a sticker on the map, you bring the map back to the shop, and you get to pick out a little plastic egg that comes apart. You can put little trinkets in or whatever, and there's Mickey, Minnie, Chip Dale. There was a Stitch one that was, I guess, highly sought after. That was limited edition that I guess they only made like 1,000 of, that probably sold out the first day. It's a lot of fun because it keeps the kids interested, and they want to go and see all the countries because they want to find all the eggs. And some of them are right out in the open, and some of them you have to go into the shops to look for. And so that was a lot of fun. It took us we went back later in the week to Epcot again, and they finished off that time. We got about 3/4 of it done that first night before Illuminations was going to start, and none of my kids or my wife are giant Illuminations fans, so it was just ended up being me and my parents watching that show. My wife very nicely took the 3 children, walked back to the resort, and got them all tucked into bed, which I was extremely thankful for, because she knows I love that show as well. So that was awesome. Stuffed my face with multiple things from the Flower and Garden kiosks. I'm not going to go over every single thing I ate. I'm just going to hit a few of the high points. I can tell you the Mexico booth always seems to be my favorite with the things that they have. I can tell you right now, they had a great beer there. It's just a Pacifico beer, which is just like a regular, like a Miller Lite or a Dos Equis. There's nothing super fancy about it. But what they were doing was, and it wasn't for extra money, it was part of the thing. So if you didn't get it, you were wasting the money. They had either you could get a floater of, I'm trying to flip through my book to look for it now. You can get either a floater of ginger or pomegranate in the draft beer. So what they would do is they had like a little syrup, and they would pour it in the cup, and then they would fill it up with the beer. So I got it with the ginger. I'm not a big pomegranate fan. And ginger I like because ginger beer, dark and stormy's awesome drink. I tell you what, I probably had, I don't know, more than I should have. But people would recognize me when I came up because I kept going back, even if I had to walk halfway around the world to get it, because it was just it just refreshed it that much more, especially because it was hot out. So Mexico booth had some great stuff. There wasn't too much that I didn't try everything from every booth. I probably got 3/4 of the stuff. At least tried one thing between me and my wife, and I didn't have anything that I was super disappointed about. It seems like the America booth is the one that always has the least fantastic things, and they had a pulled pork slider with a coleslaw that I got this time. That was actually very good. But I remember Food and Wine last year when I was there. Whatever I had was terrible. It just wasn't very good. So worked my way around that. Filled up my little book with stickers and check marks, and just kept. We'd be walking somewhere, and all of a sudden I would disappear and catch up with the rest of the group. And, I'm going to try that. So because I knew, and then it's like all of a sudden everybody was like, "Oh, we're all hungry." I'm like, "Well, I've been eating my way around, so I'm not hungry." So they went, and I think I had lunch in the America Pavilion, or grabbed something from the China walk-up counter. I don't even remember, but all I remember is when it was getting to be dinner time, before we were going to get our spot for Illuminations, which we usually stand in Canada. It seems to be our new spot. And I don't quite know why, because there is a tree that blocks our view, but you do get it is a good view of the show, and you can see the low-lying stuff, the fire and the fountains, but then you can see everything in the sky too, right by the tea cart, which kind of where you used to head back for the old Millennium Village, for those who remember or saw any of that during that time period. So, but on our way over there, I had stopped in England and got myself a nice thing of fish and chips and a harp, a bunch of malt vinegar, and there's a nice trash can that's right there that we usually stand right by between the trash can and the water fountains, and I ate on the trash can and watched my show. And then moseyed nice, grabbed another beer before the place shut down, and walked on back to our resort at Boardwalk. So that was Epcot Day. That was fantastic. So next day was going to be our Animal Kingdom Day, but we had an early breakfast, which my father's insane, but I knew he couldn't get any other times. The kids wanted to do Ohana, but the only time he could get was a 7:30 reservation, which is like, oh man, that's So first of all, you're going from resort to resort. So we had a car, we had to drive. So that's good in that respect. Otherwise, I know they're working on something now, some sort of Uber-based resort to resort transportation, but there is nothing in place now. So you're either taking a taxi, or you're trying to get to a park and then taking a bus over there, which takes forever. I missed this breakfast because my daughter had woken up with a fever. So they all went, and then I stayed back with her. And then after Ohana, we were going to Animal Kingdom for the day. And I think the first Fast Pass I made, which probably was a mistake on my part, and if Adrienne was here, I'm sure she would be making fun of me for it. I used the Fast Pass for, first of all, I'll backtrack, and as soon as Rivers of Light came out, I had changed stuff around and gotten a Fast Pass for that, so we can all see that. So one was gone for that. I had made one for Expedition Everest for those of us who wanted to ride it, and then I had made one for the Lion King show, because my parents really enjoy that, and I know my kids like it too. And I do as well. But in retrospect, I probably shouldn't have done that. And especially I did it for like the first show of the day, which was like 10:30 or something like that. Or 10 o'clock, whatever the heck it was. Missed breakfast because I was back sick with my daughter. And then we planned on meeting them at Animal Kingdom for the Lion King show, but it just didn't work out that way. We got there just as they were kind of loading, and my father was like, "Oh, just hurry! They'll let you in. Just tell them what was going on." I was like, "I'm not rushing. I'm not running. It's fine." She just kind of wanted to mosey and walk around the gardens in the entrance to the park around the Tree of Life. So I said, "That's fine. We'll do that, and we'll meet them after the show." So that's exactly what we did. And she was happy. It got her going for the day. She was taking pictures, and we were, looking at all the signage and just taking our time, which is my new favorite thing to do when I'm down there now, just taking my time and just looking at stuff. So that was awesome. And by that time, she was feeling better. Everything had kicked in. Fever stayed away for the rest of the day, and we were good. So we did that, went on Everest and did a later safari, almost not quite at dusk, but around dinner time. So that was good. Saw a lot of good animals. The lion was out. So that was awesome. We ate at the Yak and Yeti, walk-up thing. Sat outside for that. We walked through, just did a lot of relaxing in Animal Kingdom. Didn't do too much, didn't catch any of the shows. Either didn't do Nemo because we did Lion King. We didn't catch Flights of Wonder just because the little guy just wasn't cooperating with stuff like that. So even though he probably would have enjoyed it when we went in there, it's just kind of like pick your battles type deal. So we didn't do any of that. And just kind of moseyed around a lot and hung out. We did the jungle trek and just took our time through there. And Tiger was out and he was playing and doing stuff, so that was really cool. We walked through the Pagani Trail saw the gorillas and the bats and all those things, and just took our time and smelled the flowers. Went over to conservation, took the train right over to Conservation Station, and kids went to the petting zoo. Little guy just loved looking at. They weren't taking care of any animals in the affection section, but all the insects and all the giant spiders. He was fascinated. The woman was out there with the tarantula, talking about the tarantula, and he just loved being right up there looking at it and just checking it all out, which freaked my wife out because she hates those things. So just good stuff all the way around. And then we went and had fast passes for the early showing to Rivers of Light. I went by the Thirsty River Bar and got myself a beer, and we went and sat and watched the show. I'm trying to think of the right words for Rivers of Light. It was good. I enjoyed it. It was definitely very different. I knew it wasn't fireworks, but the music was really good. I did enjoy the soundtrack of it. I videoed it, most of it on my phone, just mainly so I could try to watch it again and really try to get more of it in. I know the video doesn't do it justice though, and plus it's a lot of light and video screens on missed things like in Fantasmic. I could see why it was delayed for so long and why they had so many issues with the technology of it, just because there was a lot kind of going on. But then again, it was also very simplistic. Like the actors and actresses that were on the boats and the barges, you couldn't really see them and what they were doing. Like I knew they were there, but I wasn't really paying attention to them because the giant lotus flowers that were floating around is kind of like the mainstay with the fountains and stuff in them seemed to be kind of like the focal point of the show. It's probably about a 10 to 12 minute show, so it was about the same length as Illuminations. I don't know that it's something that I don't think it's something that it's a must do for me and something that I would rush to do again. I'd rather spend my time walking through Animal Kingdom itself because it is simply gorgeous at night. And then once Pandora opens up, then that's just going to add a whole nother element of wow factor, I think. Just the way that land is going to be at night walking around. At least that's what I'm hoping. You know, I have no idea. We've seen pictures and we've heard about it. I know there's been some soft openings, and I think everybody should see it once because they've done so much to get it out there and have kind of, I don't even know that they've hyped it up that much. It just doesn't seem like that they've promoted it very much. But it is interesting. It's not terrible. It's just I think for as long as it's been delayed and everything that's been talked about it, I was really waiting for it to blow my socks off, and it definitely did not do that. So take that for what you will. Like I said, I'm not trying to deter anybody from trying it. I think everybody should at least see it once, but I would definitely get a fast pass for it. You can queue up for it. I think the people who are standby, you enter in over by where the Nemo Theater is, and the standby is over by Everest. They really need to work out the logistics of the time between shows, because that was a cluster F, for lack of a better word, because you have everybody queuing up for fast pass for the new show, and that's where the exit is for the show that just got out. So it's just, and that corridor is very skinny for anybody who knows that. There's strollers all over the place because there's nowhere stroller parking for the show. So that's another thing that got screwed up with us trying to find our stroller, because cast members just kind of stick them kind of wherever so they're not in the way, even though there's designated areas. So I'm hoping they'll work that stuff out in the future. But that was all really not well thought out, that part of it. You know, maybe having two shows isn't the best thing. I know they're trying to crank it out and get people, they would just want people to see it. And, you know, I know the park is open late, but I don't know, maybe one showing would be enough. You know, there's plenty of standing room around the lake there that people can watch, I think. So, you know. So that was Animal Kingdom. The next day was Thursday, which was our last day. So we started off at Epcot. I had gotten fast passes for Soarin' for that morning because I wanted to ride it again. I believe that's what I did. Yeah, that's what we did. We did Frozen in the morning, and we did Spaceship Earth again, kind of walked around a little bit. Didn't go and finished off when World Showcase opened at 11. We went over there, and the kids finished off the last 2 or 3 countries that they had to figure and got their little prize. We walked through one of the play areas again, the musical playground area. I tried to get a few more, did some more eating. And I think we were probably out of there and over to the Magic Kingdom by lunchtime. And then I scored some fast passes for the afternoon. I think we did Pirates and Haunted Mansion again. I believe I got a fast pass for Jungle Cruise, and the kids wanted to do the Speedway, so we did that. A couple more People Mover rides, Carousel of Progress, all the staples. We did good on the last day. Kind of headed back early just to get a good night's rest. Hung out at the boardwalk. Just hung around there and just packed up our stuff and got ready to go the next day. So that was it.
Adrian would die with your lack of specific planning.
Oh, totally. She's going to listen to this and I'm going to hear her. My ears are going to be ringing. I would thought of her multiple times while I was doing it. I'm horrible at planning. With stuff like that, I am, because I don't know, for years without the fast pass stuff, we just managed fine. We did what we wanted to do in the morning, the major stuff, and then we saw how the day went and what we wanted to do. And then now it's like, it's just hard because my kids at the age that they're on, they just, they want to do the thrill ride thing, and not that's all, but my oldest one, he just, I want to go on Space Mountain, I want to go on Thunder Mountain, and we get off. He's like, all right, can we go on again? I'm like, you can go on as many times as you want if you want to wait in the line. So it's, fast pass is a blessing and a curse all in one. I believe. Yeah. There's people that only do what the fast pass allows them to do, and that's it. We never went and got a fourth because it was too hard, because my parents don't go on any of the roller coasters. They don't really want to, plus they would hang with Dominic, The little guy, when, if we were on a roller coaster or I would try to set them up for something else, the three of them, while we were doing the roller coaster, so not everybody always used all their fast passes. So to get the fourth one never really worked. Plus, it was so busy. I mean, most of the things were sold out. Like the last day, I had tried to get, which that was the only thing I wish I had done. Our last day, I should have gotten another fast pass for the mine train, in case he really loved it, which he did. And so that was the only thing I was sad about that. I was sad I couldn't get him on there again. The line was just too long. I just wasn't, an hour plus, he's not going to wait. Even with the interactive queue, that's just a lot of time for a 5-year-old to wait in a line. He might have been okay. He was okay the rest of the week with pretty much anything we did. He really, really was. I was pleasantly surprised on his behavior within the lines. I mean, it was really, I had no complaints about anything. The 12-year-old was more of a pain in the ass than the 5-year-old. So that's it. That was my whirlwind tour of Walt Disney World.
That's awesome.
Yeah, good time by all. And I could tell you, I went in one shop the whole entire time. I went in one store. I got a tank top. That was the only thing I bought. I bought a tank top for myself, my brother, and a good friend of ours.
Was it a pirate tank top?
It was not, because they don't have any. It was a red tank top with, I think it was like a Mickey head on it, and Walt Disney World. It was a new design. It's
cool.
Tank tops and sleevelesses are hard to find, and once the weather gets warm, that's all I wear. So usually if one of us is down there and we find one, we'll get one for everybody. So, and that's where that Shop Parks app was awesome, because my wife found it in Animal Kingdom, but by the time we were leaving that night, the shops had closed up. So knowing we weren't going back to Animal Kingdom at all, you just pop open that app, and I found the tank top, what it looked like. Oh, let's see, where is it? They had it at the Emporium. They had it at somewhere in Epcot. Perfect. Last day when we were there, went to the Emporium, grabbed it. Beautiful thing. So it's a nice deal. Do they have that in California for shopping?
The Emporium?
Or no, the app.
Oh, so they have a Disneyland app that they keep expanding on, and to the best of my knowledge, it doesn't have that feature yet. They just added basic stuff like being able to make dining reservations on the app. So
oh wow,
it's still, and they don't have Wi-Fi yet. They're testing it right now, so I think that's gonna come, but it's not fully in yet. Gotcha.
Well, this is an entirely separate app.
Is?
It's a separate app from the My Disney Experience. It's called Shop Parks, and basically you can either search by category and filter it down, or if you're in a shop, like say I was looking for this tank top. I wear a large. Say they only had mediums. Instead of going up to the counter and asking, do you have any larges in the back, or can you, because they could call and find out, you scan the tag, like the code, it'll bring up the item in the app, and then you can choose a size, and it'll show you on the map any other store that, no guarantees, but to the best of how their inventory keeps up with it, is where they have it.
That's awesome.
It's ridiculous. It's insane.
It also lets you do mail order, too.
That's right.
It does?
It does, yeah.
That's
It's
so
fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Disneyland needs that right now, because I would use it all the time.
Yeah.
I'm just loading it up to see if because I hadn't put it back on my phone yet. But I thought it did Disneyland as well.
I don't know. I never tried, but I don't think so. But I mean, it's everything. It's any of the resorts, anything. It's ridiculous. This was our first time using those Magic Band 2s. 2.0, whatever you want to call it, the second version of it. So, which I didn't notice much difference between, other than the thing can come out, but you have to unscrew it to take the little centerpiece out.
Oh, you mean so you can make a key ring out of it?
Or whatever. Yeah, but that's the other thing. My wife, we were talking about a few times down there. I didn't see anything anywhere. Like, I didn't go in any shops. She did, but I don't remember her coming out and saying, hey, they had this cool accessory for the Magic Band. So they make this thing so it could come out and go in a bunch of different stuff, but where the hell's all the bunch of different stuff that you could put it in? I mean, do you have to, maybe you have to order it online? I really don't know. It's not like they had, I didn't go in any shops to see it.
That is so cool.
I would imagine they would have sections of this stuff to, either like a key ring, necklace, I don't know what other things they were going to make for it, but earring. I don't know. That was pretty cool. I can't think of anything extraordinary that happened. Any super special cast member moments or anything like that. The only thing I think that comes to mind that I did the cast compliment on Twitter was when the day we were in the studios, my son was, and we meant to bring him. We have those fans that you can fill up and they spray the water and it mists yourself. So we have them at home, and I had every intention of bringing one of them with us for the little guy, because I know if he saw them, he was going to want to buy one. So we're trying to hold him off from buying one. So my wife bought him like a mini keychain one, and that was good for like a couple hours, or for a day. Then the next day, because I'd gotten there late with him to the studios, and so we were waiting by Toy Story Midnight Mania for everybody else to come out of that attraction, and there's a little shop there, and they had these things. They have these things everywhere because it's a red one and it's got the fan and you blow and everything else. So he really, really wanted it so bad. So finally, I just gave in to him. I was like, fine, we'll buy the fan. That's it. It's going to make him happy, fine. He had from the night before at the Magic Kingdom, one of those light-up swords that they sell waiting for the parades and stuff that has the Mickey head on it. It's like a lightsaber. Him and my daughter bought one. So his was kind of weak, or it wasn't flashing right, or the cast member said, oh, this thing doesn't look right. So he went and he changed the batteries in it, put fresh batteries in it for him, and the thing was beautiful. Lit up like a Christmas tree, and he was happy. So then he bought the fan, and the fan that we picked didn't work right. So then he went in the back, and he's getting another fan, and just that thing was like, so he was really, so he kept, and then while he's doing all this, they have the Toy Story toys that you can play with. So they had a thing of Green Army Man, there's a Buzz, a Woody, a Jessie, a Slinky, and I believe a Zurg, and then they have like a little foam mat area for the kids to play. So him and my daughter were playing with all these toys while this guy was, searching for batteries everywhere to get all these light up things and fans working for the little guy. So that was pretty cool. And then, stickers and stuff you get. Oh, I ended up running into at Epcot a few Twitter friends that I'm friends with, which was awesome. I met the famous Drunk at Disney. He was there with his wife.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I met him. Didn't get any pictures. I don't know why I did not get any pictures with any of these people, but they vouched for me afterwards that I actually did meet them. But so I met him and his wife and two other Twitter friends, Disney local Twitter people that I follow. So that was pretty cool, geeky on my part. So chatted with them for a little bit, and then we went on our merry way. But it was an awesome trip. The fact that my little guy keeps asking to go back, and he wants to ride a Disney bus, and he wants to go back to the 7D Mine Train, and he wants to, there's very specific things he remembers that he likes that he wants to go back and do. So that's a win, I think, on my part. I guess with that, we'll wrap this episode up.
So hey, with the Shop Parks app, I did do a search on Disneyland merchandise.
Uh-huh.
And it does come up with Disneyland merchandise. So, as a matter of fact, I forgot to buy an ornament while I was there. So, I just added it to my thing. Now, it doesn't show it on the map at Disneyland. It comes up with Disney World map. But there is Disneyland merchandise in here. And it lets you use your annual pass discount.
Oh. Yeah, I have to look that up.
You got to download that mess right now.
Yeah. The odd thing is I don't have an annual pass, so I'm wondering whose annual pass I'm using.
That's funny.
Because I'm linked with like 9 or 10 people that have got annual passes, so...
Right.
That's interesting.
Yeah, well, that's good to know, though, that it reaches out to Disneyland. I mean, I have to say, that's the only... Speaking of the Parks app and ornaments, that's the only thing I didn't even think about that I would have liked to get my hands on was one of the of course, as for anything new that comes and anything that's leaving, there's always commemorative merchandise. So just like when the Osborne lights were done 2 years ago, they had t-shirts and all sorts of stuff, and I got a t-shirt saying that, it's it. I did not get one for the Main Street Electrical Parade, which I kind of wish I had. Probably would have just gotten a pin or something for that. They did have stuff for Wishes. I don't remember what it looked like. I remember not being wowed by it, which is kind of like, because my wife was looking at the t-shirts, but it wasn't anything spectacular. It was kind of like they just did it to do it because they knew people were going to buy it. I would have at least gotten the button or the pin. So whatever, it is what it is. I'm sure everything's sold out now, and if you want anything, you'll have to find it with the eBay pirates that'll be jacked up to the nines, which I will not pay for that. So it is what it is. But I got to see it. I got plenty of video of the shows. That's that. Before we sign off tonight, Milford's just got some information about a local big Disney meet that's happening by him. So I'm going to let him give everybody the information on that for anybody who's listening who lives anywhere near where in the Midwest there.
Yeah, so I just posted the video for this to the Diz Explorers podcast page on Facebook. If you're going to be in the Indianapolis area on August 26th, we're having our 10th anniversary Indy Disney meet, and it's going to be a blast. We've doubled the space this year. It's held at the fairgrounds right here in Hamilton County in Noblesville, Indiana, which is on the northeast side of Indy. And we got all kinds of stuff, all kinds of people coming this year. Yeehaw Bob, which I don't know how many of you are familiar with him, but he does performances at Port Orleans Resort at the River Roost Lounge. We've got Herbie the Love Bug coming. Of course, our favorite people, the princesses from Frozen, the 501st Legion, which is a fan group that does Empire and Rebel costuming from Star Wars, will actually be here, and there's some of that in the video that I posted.
Those guys are awesome.
Yeah, they are. So it's a carry-in. Everybody brings food, and holy cow, we end up with a ton of it. Everything from savory to sweet. They usually have a machine set up doing Dole Whips, and we have drawings and things like that. But all the money that we raise goes to Give Kids the World, which is the little community in Florida where basically Make-A-Wish takes their kids for kids that are, have come down with cancer, and it's their Make-A-Wish to go to Disney World. So all the money we raise for that goes towards that charity. We're also going to be doing a group podcast from there. There'll be several of us there. I know Mike Relman from Be Our Guest podcast is going to be there. He started coming last year. So it'll be a really good time. So if you're in the area, and I'll be talking about it the next few podcasts up, probably even until that weekend. So they have a kids room with kids activities, and they always have character meet and greets in there, face painting. They'll have a DJ. At some point, they show a couple movies for the kids, and it's a good time. So come on out.
Yeah, so definitely. That sounds like a great time. Yeah, that's a great lineup. That's a great lineup of stuff. Yeah, those 501st, I follow those guys on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. They do some phenomenal stuff with kids' hospitals, and I think you can get them to come to parties and corporate events and stuff like that, and there's local chapters everywhere. I mean, if I had more free time and the means to make myself a costume of some sort, I would definitely join, because there is one in Connecticut. It's a few hours away. It's upstate from where I am, but I would definitely join and be active if I could, because they do so much awesome stuff. And who the hell doesn't want to dress up like a stormtrooper or a Magna Guard or anything?
Anything.
Yeah.
We have the Bloodfin Garrison here in Indianapolis, and they have over 1,000 members.
Yeah, it's really great organization. So if you're into Star Wars and you enjoy seeing good deeds and good things happening on social media, go follow the 501st. They're at official 501st on Twitter, and they're Facebook and Instagram and everywhere else. Just a really great club for sure. And who doesn't want to see Yeehaw Bob? I have still yet to see him.
Yeah, I haven't either. But I'm
yet
going to get
see
to
him
in August.
So, and with my kids at the age that they're at, it'd be a fantastic time for them. It just, once again, just didn't work out this time, and I honestly just kind of forget about it, because it's not something you make a reservation for. You just go.
Yeah.
And go early, and it's just I definitely have to get him done though before he stops performing, because I've heard just phenomenal things about it, and I've heard live recordings of it, I've seen videos of it, but you got to be there live. I know that for sure. So that's another thing to put on my bucket list, I guess. So with that, We thank you all for listening. That should do it for Trip Reports for a while. Yay! I'm sure everybody's happy about that. But
honestly, I think Mel's got a cruise coming up, right?
Oh, but people love the cruises. And people love Melanie, so
yeah.
Her voice is much softer than mine, so it makes it easier on the ear. I can say that because she's not here to yell at me. So, once again, we thank you for listening. We hope you are enjoying us on Podbean and Google Play, our new formats now. And also, you can find us on the same iTunes and Stitcher and TuneIn. As always, you can find us on the internet at thedizexplorers.com, and where you can find links there to all our other social media accounts. Join our Facebook group. We are on Twitter. We are on Instagram. Jessica does a fantastic job on keeping tabs of all that, for sure. And also, you can find the links on there to all of us individually if you choose to follow us there. I can honestly say it's insane. We've been doing this podcast for coming on close to a year. And when I started this podcast with these people, I had under 200 followers. I had 170 or something like that. I have about 613 now. And I can probably attribute most of it to this podcast, and either it's people who have listened or it's other podcast folks that I've become friendly with that you follow, and then it just kind of trickles back and forth. So it's just the whole Disney community is insane. And I tell you what, 99% of it is Disney related, because there's really nothing else I use Twitter for. Maybe a few sports things, but barely. And the people on there that are usually the sports people I follow are Disney fans as well too, or somewhat whatever other interest I have. Disney has been the catalyst for getting to know these people and branching out into my other interests, being music, tiki culture, or anything else. So it's insane. I mean, I know that's, how many followers you have isn't how you're rated, but it's just funny to see how this community is encapsulating, I guess I'm not sure if that's the right word, but there's just tons of people out there who enjoy and love Disney in many different ways, and just the fact that everybody can come together in one format, because Twitter seems to be the main forum for it versus Facebook and Instagram. So thank you for everybody who follows along, both this podcast and me on a personal level. So it's a lot of fun, and I do enjoy it, and I'm glad for all of you. I'm glad that the six of us can put this out pretty much every week, and that people do enjoy listening to it. So that's very much appreciated. So go out there and follow us, join along the fun, and we will talk to everybody next week.